Welcome to the backward skating analysis brought to you by Stamm Power Skating, where we're going to be taking a detailed look at the backward C cuts and all the techniques involved. Now, the first thing I'd like to point out is a skater is starting with a backward crossover. The reason is crossovers are good for acceleration, but once you're already up to speed, then you want to do C cuts because C cuts take you in a straight line and you can do them in one-on-one situations where you can't do backward crossovers. The next thing to point out is the knee bend. In order to get full extension, strong, powerful pushes, you have to have a 90-degree knee bend or lower. So your knees should be bent at least a 90-degree knee bend. Now let's take a look at the pushes. The reason we call it a C cut is because your skates start together underneath your body, and then as you push outward, your pushing leg traces a C cut in the ice. And then when your feet return together, you can see that a C is drawn in the ice. Now if we take a look at that push, you start with your feet together. You have to have that pushing leg underneath your body. C cuts are a very powerful push, and in order to do that, you have to use the front half of the inside edge of the pushing leg. You have to have all of your weight on that push. And the only way you can get all of your weight on the push is if you have that skate underneath your body with your feet together. So we go and we do the push. And you push all the way out until your leg is completely locked in what we call full extension. Right there, you're delivering that full push to the outside. That leg is completely straight. And then from there, you return your feet together again until your feet come all the way back together right there so you can set up for your next push. A common tendency is players will push, but they won't bring their feet all the way together. They'll leave their feet about shoulder width apart, and that's a common mistake. So this next drill is very helpful for that, and we'll show you at full speed first. What the player's doing is they're C-cutting out and then they're touching their heels after each push. So if we show that to you again, you get your C-cut and then you touch your feet together after the push. And this is a way of making sure that you have that full return because you're feeling your heels touch together. If we take a look at this right here, you can see the players reached full extension. Now this is another part of the stride that we didn't mention earlier. This is called the repivot. If you're at full extension, your skate is gliding backward and you're on this sort of line right here. Because you can't lift your skate off the ice during a C cut, you're sort of locked into this path. So what we do is something called the repivot, where you turn your heel from this direction to this direction, and then you're able to glide and bring your feet back together. So if we frame through this, you can see that the skater turns their foot along this line right here. Okay, and if we show that to you again without the line, you can see they're turning that ankle and pulling the heels together. And this is one more drill. This is called the stick drill. What you're doing is you're doing stationary C cuts. You start at the front of the stick, knees bent, toes together, pivoting. Here, I'll show you that right here. At the beginning of the push, the pushing leg, your skate has to be aimed to the side because the initial part of the push is forward. So you push forward a little bit and then your skate goes out to the side, and then from there you return your feet together. So if we watch that in slow motion, you can see that skate goes forward a little bit to the side, and then you glide with your feet back together. And it's also important to keep your knees bent all the way until your feet come together. And let's play through this one more time at full speed. Thank you, and for more information, visit laurastamm.net.